Okay, so a while back I did a video on how to add a second NIC network port to your G4, G5, and I also talked about how you could kind of sort of do it with the G3. But I didn't quite recommend it because some of the latches would get in the way. It just was not a good fit. And that was using this particular one, which actually comes with two different sort of heads that you can use. I just use this one because it's more, more square, and it seemed to fit better within the confines. You basically take out the Flex IO, and then I use this, which is it mimics the Flex IO as far as the spacing. I got this 3D printed based on a design, which I'll include in the link. And this allowed for you to be able to stick it in and have a place for it to sit. You would take this, lay it in here, and then put screws in to secure it. And then this would sit inside of the same space as your old, let's say you would take out maybe the DisplayPort Flex IO or the VGA, and it would stick in there. This would go into your Wi-Fi slot. And in the case of the G4, G5, since it goes this direction, you have to kind of get it in there. It's pretty tight because you got to fix how to get that little screw in there. But it does work. And it was fine, except again for the with the G3, it was quite a tight fit. A lot of it had to do with the fact that there's a post that's pretty close here that's used for the heatsink on the G3. On the G4, it's a little farther down. It just was not, and I didn't recommend it. So, along as time goes by, I was looking on Amazon, and there was this version. This is also a Intel chip for as far as the network, and that was one of the things that I really wanted to stress or go with. There are a lot that look like this, but they're the Realtek, and I really wanted the Intel. So I found this one, and right away I'm like, oh, okay, that's going to work for the G3 because that Wi-Fi goes like this, and you can get it right in. Not going to work. It just this stuff is going to get in the way. It's going to bump up against the side of the case. It's not going to work for the G4. When I purchased it, though, I didn't realize that this head was smaller. So if you compare, it's substantially smaller. And because of that, it's going to fit a lot better in that G3. You're still going to use the same bracket here. You're still going to put it on its side and the screw and so forth. But the nice thing is, I put some Captain on here just so that we don't worry about accidentally touching anything on the case. But nice thing is it goes in, the case can close, and this, you notice also this cable is about maybe half the size, so this goes quite nicely within there. So I wanted to show what you can do with the G3, the EliteDesk 800. I should work with the ProDesk without a problem. Conceivably both the 400 and the 600. So that would be kind of a nice way, especially because on the 400 you do have a Realtek network card instead of the Intel, and if you really needed something with Intel, you'd have a way to do it with this. I'll include a link. I got in on a really nice price on this one. Unfortunately, it went up about $10. It's still around the high teens, so it's not exorbitant. But it's a matter of again, getting the right one, making sure that it does say that it is an Intel. It's a little disconcerting because they call it bent pin. And I'm like, well, is that like defective? But I think they meant instead of it going up and down, it's, you know, straight out. So let's get the G3 and get this prepped. We're going to want to take out the caddy, disconnect the SATA, and then we also are going to be removing the Flex IO. This is on a 35 watt. The steps I'm going through should work without a problem on the 65 because you've got the fan there, but everything's going to be going underneath. And that's kind of the nice thing, is that when all is said and done, we'll have a caddy, and with the SATA drive in here, we can still have a M.2 working A-OK. Obviously, we're going to lose our Wi-Fi because we're going to be using it for that. But everything's going to flow pretty nicely and fit. And it's I just wish I could find the same head that would work with the and cable as that would also work with the G4. So I'm going to keep my eye out to see if they end up with the ones that are smaller for the cable, but still go maybe up and down so we can be able to fit it in there. But that'll be, if it happens, in a future video. So let me just take this out. Okay, and remember on the G3, we've got 3 of the larger torque. Boy, I don't know what I would do if these particular screws were not, you know, I couldn't use with my magnetized tip because it'd make things a lot harder, but that's more commentary. Okay, we'll take this, put it to the side. Now we need a Phillips for these two. You're going to find in general that if you're doing anything with these Flex IO, that taking out the cage just gives you a lot more range of movement as far as being able to get in to put the stuff in. So it's just a recommendation. I've gone so far as to remove the heat sink. I think that may be overkill. That's if you're really starting out fresh and you've never done one of these and you just want a lot of space. But for this, what I usually try to do, if I can, is just use my nail. I don't have really long ones, but it kind of pop it. Well, that nail idea is not going to work. So let's get a spudger and see if that will help a little bit. There, you hear that kind of pop, and sometimes that, there you go, needs a little help there, and that's because this guy here is, you know, it's connected down in there so that way you know, you have the signal, but it does take a little bit getting it out there. So we'll save this. If you ever decide to, I don't know, you want to put this networking somewhere else, you want to put this into another unit, this particular one, what is that? That's a display port. You never know, you want 3 display ports, so we'll put that to the side. Okay, if you had a Wi-Fi card, you would need to, and conceivably you probably have the antennas hooked to it. So you want to disconnect the antennas, you want to take the Wi-Fi card out. I've tried the best I can to kind of put these guys to the side so that they don't get in the way of things. I put a little Captain on the tips so they don't touch anything. Let's see. Is that going to stay in there? Okay, maybe not. There we go. Okay. You can just use the same screw that was holding down your Wi-Fi card. The way this goes in, you've got the 2 notches here. Okay. Now, what you may want to do before you go to all the work of putting all the cage back in and so forth is to fire this one up, fire up the unit, and see if you get the plug in a network card, see if you, or it's gonna be network cable, and see if you get the blink lights. What you could try is go into the BIOS and try to do a BIOS upgrade, and that of course uses the internet to go check to see. And if you get an error and it can't do the connection, then maybe double check your connection here, make sure nothing's loose here, over on this area, and then that way if there is something wrong, then maybe you can return it. This particular one came got on Amazon. It was sent via from China, and surprisingly, actually didn't take that long. I've had other things I've ordered that took forever, so this wasn't too bad. And the old one, unless maybe I have a funky unit, because other people said they got the link lights to work. My other unit doesn't have the link lights. This one actually worked, so that was kind of neat. Okay, so what we're going to do, lay this in here, and we're going to put a M3 by 12 screw in from the back, and it's going to have a nut on the front. And we're going to fast forward because I had to order that part. I tried them with tried to use screws I had laying around and different things. But in the end, I said, well, let's just go with what was recommended by the creator of the actual, this guy, the 3D model. Okay, got in the screws and the nuts that I want to use to secure the main head here to this, I guess, I don't know what you call it, the 3D printed sort of little cage holder. And these are M3 by 12. I'll put a link. I was able to find a nice little set on Amazon that includes different sizes of M3. So what you're going to do is put it through the back. And it's actually going to screw in slightly so that way then you can get the nut on. Is using a T10. I have to hold it a little bit here because it's actually going to come through the holes. There we go. Put the other one on. One thing I also found, just kind of a side commentary, is when you are looking at these boxes or sets of screws that you can get off of Amazon, be a little careful when it says stainless steel. I mean, stainless steel is nice. Problem is that for most of them, it won't work with if you have something like this where it's got a magnetic tip. Because I ordered a set and I go to start doing stuff and I, tap like I usually do with my other ones to pick up, and it wouldn't do anything. And I'm like, I can't do that. That's just too much extra work. So these, thankfully, do work. So we can stick this on. Just hand tighten. You could probably get I think there's a head that comes in with this set that will actually, tighten it more, but this goes on. This actually goes on a little better. I went back to the unit that I used for the other video, and I put the screws in there, and those, it didn't seem to come through as nicely, and so I had to do a little more tightening, but this goes pretty nice. So now we've got our unit. We can go ahead and install. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a little more challenging and make sure that we can thread this through when I've got my 65 watt caddy. So it's got the fan and so forth. Just wanted to, just show that it worked with both. Because if it works with this, it definitely works with the 35. This is what it looks like with the nice screw in there. And these lights do come on. Get this in here. And as I did before, I did put some Kapton tape on here just to make sure, because we are going to be putting obviously the case on top of it. I'm going to slightly push it down, and then hopefully as we're screwing these in, it's going to kind of pop into the that's already, it's in there. There's the little ridge in there that covers over the normal communication port. Had to get a slightly smaller one here for these tiny screws. Oop. Go ahead and put that in. If you find it's just too tight getting everything in there, by all means, you can always take off the fan and the heat sink to get in there. When I was first playing with the G3s, it was kind of in the way, even doing some of the normal stuff, but like the normal Flex IO, putting it in. But I guess I've gotten used to it now where it's not so bad. So there's tightened down, and there's our money shot here. Okay. Now, let's see about sort of putting that caddy back in. And what I found is that if I can sort of thread it toward the front here, then I can put the caddy, and then the cable is just going to kind of sit right here, and then it'll look pretty good. So we've got our, that's right. It's always fun with these. I've got to take out the fan first. Excuse me while I do that real quick. Because if you don't take the fan off, then you can't get to the third screw that is used for the caddy. So let's okay, and then we'll put this off to the side temporarily. Okay, let's lift this up. See if we can get that in place. Yeah, you may have to move some stuff around because you need to get everything centered there. And maybe even pull this a little bit there. Okay. Not too bad. I'm going to go ahead, grab the screw for this one. I think that will help to get it sort of a little more stationary. Okay. All right. Looking good so far. I'm going to go ahead and tighten these down. Put these screws in. Or at least put one of them. Let's see. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to get the rest of them. It'll be interesting to see what happens when I have to connect the fan cable. But that's why I figured I'd do the more challenging version with the 65 watt, so that if you're doing the 35, at this point you'd be pretty much done, because it's got that metal piece right here over it. Okay, let's put this back. I find if I can feed this through first. Let's see, there we go. Feed it under. Okay, let's make sure. Okay, there it is. There's our, and let's go ahead and put our fan back on. They're just ever so slightly off here. Let's see, let's loosen it. There we go. And where'd the last one? Oh, here it is. Pretty tiny, so it's all right, that's there. Now we've got to maneuver, get that fan header in. I might just lift them. Let's see. I think we should be able to do it. Oop, almost. I've tried putting these in different ways. Like sometimes I'll do it with where the caddy's not fully in there, and maybe maybe the fan's not completely put on, but it's one of the annoyances with the. And then, of course, you have the panic thinking, oh, wait a minute, am I putting this in right? Okay. Ah, there we go. Okay. So that's... Let's get our SATA drive, bootable Windows. Just pop that in there. And we'll hook up our network to our new, and let me get it set up, and then we'll power it up. And well, actually, before I do that, I want to show that you can put on the case pretty easily. In my prior video, I was lamenting the fact that if you tried to do it on a G3, it was going to be hitting, hard to show here, but oops, sorry. It would actually start hitting some of this metal here, and you'd have to file it down, etc., etc. So this, though, If I put it on here. Slides nice. This case, it's not the fault of the of this. It's more has to do with this is the one that I sat on. Let me see if I can try it with a let me grab a different cover. Well, that was embarrassing. The reason the fan in here was off kilter, and so the thing wasn't. So I actually even went back to the original starting case top. So all nice and snug. All right, now we can hook up and put some power and go into Windows and see what we've got. I know, a little weird perspective, but you can see the link light going. So this is the bottom of the case, so everything's turned around. But it's booting up, and we'll go inside of Windows to check it out. So while it's waiting for it to boot up, just full disclosure so that you could see that the fan is running, both fans, including the one on the bottom there. So here we are in Windows. We look at Device Manager. This here, the 219, that's the one that comes with the G3. And then this 210, that's our new network adapter. And then if we look at the connections, this one's live, and we are getting 1,000 here, megabits. If we go ahead and add the second one in, so I plugged in a cable into the the onboard network. So we've got the 210, which is the new one, and that's active. And then we've got the 219, which is the ones on board. Looks like it, let's see. Yeah, you can even tell it's got two different IP addresses, the 198 for the one and 222 for the other. So that's pretty nice. So now we could use both. Probably would only come into play with things like maybe if you want to set up a NAS and do some sort of thing with getting better bandwidth coming in, Proxmox, if you wanted to have different adapters for your different virtual machines. But it is kind of cool. I did try doing bridging, and I really haven't had good luck with that. Bridging basically allows you to take two 1 gigabit and bridge them, and you end up with overall throughput of 2 gigabit. And when I tried it, it didn't seem to work. So I'll continue to look at that. That didn't work with the other units either. So it's nothing on specific to this one that might be an issue. But it's a nice unit. I'll have links to where I got everything, including where I had the 3D part printed and where I got the design, and also the screws. So it's, what's nice is that you don't have to cut anything. It's nice and clean, and it really doesn't impact your system in terms of, you still can have your NVMe, you can still have your SATA. So yeah, so it's kind of the best of all worlds.